We are
Meeting
live.
is now streaming. Yep.
Awesome. All right. So welcome, welcome. Yeah, how do we want to start? We don't want to start with just telling you the myth about today, but we want to introduce you to the myth series of September. Rucha and I are doing busting a myth every Tuesday. So did you want to say something?
No, I was just saying hi because you said
Oh,
Rucha.
okay. So we're busting a myth every Tuesday. Yes, that is Rucha and I'm Sarika. And the first myth we facilitated in the first week of September is facilitation only for meetings. The second myth was that you need to be a content expert if you're a facilitator. And today's myth is that only certified facilitators or only trained facilitators can facilitate. And if you're not, you cannot. But trust me, I've been facilitating for more than 20 plus years now at work. In the personal space, I think I've been facilitating since childhood, and we can talk about that too. But really, I'm always surprised when someone comes and says, well, and many of my clients, and I've spoken this to Rucha, many of my clients actually came a few years ago also and said, well, we don't have the budget to get a certified training done. And, so we can't move into a facilitative stance. And I was like, well, give me 90 minutes and we'll get you all to start facilitating. And then you don't need to take anything today to start facilitating, because I think that's like something we're all stuck with. And while Rucha and I start talking and busting that myth, we are just curious how many of you out there, and I'm just peeping into the comments there, if any of you have joined us live, do share in the comments how many of you out there avoid facilitating or are skeptical because you are not certified or trained to onboard this facilitation journey. And I'll keep peeping out there just to check the comments. But let me put that question also now to you, Rucha. I've introduced the context, but let's begin our conversation.
Uh, well, I certainly believe in learning by doing, not necessarily by doing a certification. And that's exactly how I've learned things as well. I've been facilitating for like, I think more than 10 years, 10, 15 years now, professionally, as you said. And I've done leadership workshops, product workshops, team agreements, you name it. Like I've done a lot of workshops, even as a business analyst. And nobody has ever asked me for a certification. I've also had requests to facilitate like externally to the organization I've been working. And it has been interesting. Like, not to say I did look at some training content very late in my life because I just wanted to validate like my understanding and see what the theory says. But I think the best way to learn something is by doing it. I don't know, what do you think about it, Sarika?
Totally. And that's something that you and I fully anchor on, right? It's all about learn, practice, learn, practice, practice, learn, practice, learn. It's like an endless loop, and experiment, right, with it. Do you even know how to apply it? So everything is learning by application. If you just learn and sit with it, you're not doing justice to that learning itself, which is sitting with you. And when we say learning, we are not saying go do a certification today and then start. Learning could be watching us talk about things. Learning could be watching a YouTube video, watching a e-learning something, but it doesn't have to necessarily you get a stamp, right? It's not about getting that certification that I cannot. And I think it's more an internal block, because I've run large scale transformations at banking and financial institutions, as you know, large transformation programs. Was I certified in doing that? Of course not. But I've done that at an organization level for many years. I do change facilitations. I do workshop facilitations. A lot of all this, right? Startups, small, medium, large size organizations. I've been doing that for more than 20 years. Just like you said, nobody's asked for a certificate. So I think, and I'm seeing and hearing a lot of that is, it's an internal blocker, and we just need to snap out of that internal blocker. We are not saying you don't need to get it. I think later in the talk, we'll get to when you should do it, but we'll hold on. We'll give you some tips and tricks before that, and then we'll talk about it. So we'll structure this a little bit. But maybe a next point, now that we've touched upon the internal blocker, maybe we can talk about what are some other ways that you can anyways start facilitating, right?
So what I would say is start with smaller segments. Like you don't have to immediately go ahead and do like a 90-minute workshop or a full day inception or a kickoff. Start with a small icebreaker, start with a small energizer, or people call these by different names. Just something that opens the meeting, grounding people in, checking people in, just to ensure you're creating that safe space, or just to ensure a lot of times people, somebody has dropped somebody at school, somebody is coming from a very intense meeting. So, how do you basically get people here and now? So, start with smaller segments. Start also by observing people. I think a lot of my facilitation and my journey started with that. In the first place, I didn't even know what it was. I got inspired by seeing someone, and I was like, oh, this is so amazing. This is also how an outcome can be achieved. So that's where it started. And then you do smaller segments by yourself. Sometimes, if you want to work on something bigger, you go and shadow people. You're also able to learn a lot. Then maybe you can co-facilitate something little bigger, and then you can start on your own individual journey. So, break it into manageable chunks. Like, how do you eat a chocolate elephant? One bite at a time. So eat it one bite at a time is what I'll say.
Nice. Yeah. So I would just build on that because yeah, you don't have to, nobody's asked me to go facilitate a conference or a 150 people workshop today. You want to start small and scale it out, right? But build your confidence bite by bite. And we just recently did like a 5-day Kickstarter of facilitation. We're not saying you should attend that, though you could still do that. But if you have to just start independently to learn, just read about icebreakers. It's all over the internet. We're not even asking you to go attend anybody's session. There's so much material and free material out there. Read. Yes. And of course, thank you, Rucha. And of course, our book is also coming up and it has a lot of golden nuggets about a lot of check-ins, checkouts, and lots of icebreakers also coming your way. So please grab that too in November, now that I can market it at that time. End of November, we are launching. We're still not giving you the date, but end of November, we'll get there. So just grab some content, right? And try something very simple. What's the smallest thing that made you smile today? And that could be something like today, I've been very grumpy and growly today. And I was sharing that with another colleague in the morning, and she's like, oh my God, Murphy's been all over you. Well, it happens. But that's a simple thing that you can check in with a person. You get good at check-ins, you pick another thing, pick up team agreements. I love the fact that I can facilitate a team agreement. Just simple things. How can Rucha and I, how do you and I work together? And Rucha would say something like, what's important to you, Rucha?
Say something about like gratitude, maybe.
Okay, so if gratitude's important to her, and I'm like, yeah, I think gratitude's important to me too. So maybe that's a key ingredient of our team agreement. For me, it's important that we trust each other and we are transparent. Well, simplest team agreement, we just formed it. Why don't you start building that with your team? We're literally telling you how you can do these simple things to build your confidence. Really small techniques you can start experimenting with. You don't have to go get a stamp. Having said that, of course, you can go and get it, but first learn, apply, learn, apply, learn, apply, learn, apply. It's not an infinite loop. You can always break out of it, but learning is so continuous, right? So just in the interest of time, unless you wanted to add something more, Rucha, we are ready to
Yeah.
go to the last piece.
Yeah, you just to quickly add, you brought a very interesting aspect. Like, not all days are alike. Sometimes you just don't feel good about things. And like, I have a buddy, I work very, very closely with her. And I think we're just very good at when somebody is down or I'm down, she would just say, okay, what happened? So it's like a temperature check is what we call it. And then she would just ask me to like just complain about something that's going on in my head. And once it's out of the system, then the person will ask, so what's the good thing about it?
Hmm?
And it's like immediately, once you basically flush it out of your system, you feel much better about it. And you're also talking about, okay, what might be the good thing about it? So you really have to think hard. But what I've also noticed is another activity is, if you're not feeling great, just think about all that you've achieved this week. Don't think about a lot of big things, just the small things. 1 minute, 10 things. Grab a pen, grab a paper, just write it down very, very quickly. Write it down rather than typing it. It really does help. And you will realize it's not all that bad. Like, you are really having a bad day, but you have done some amazing things this day or this week. So, yeah, there are many, many facilitation techniques. And I do talk about this one in the book as well, Sarika.
So, the feel of paper can change a lot. So, yeah, grab a paper, write. Yeah, I know it's a little traditional for those newbies listening to us, but believe us,
It
sometimes
helps.
people with experience can also share some golden nuggets. So, grab some paper, write it out. It will help. Like today, I think when Rucha and I got on the call, we didn't plan to wear red and maroons. Okay. So I was like, oh, this is nice. So it is so cool. Just sheer coincidence, but it just brought a smile to both of us. So it was fun. Okay, but maybe the last piece that we want to wrap up this myth with, of course, certification is a good thing to do, but we are not saying unlock yourself or, sorry, get stuck because you're not certified. Sure, get into it, but having done something, right? Because that will align better with you. Jump into programs. We're not saying no to it, but don't get blocked by the fact that without training or certification, you cannot onboard a facilitation journey. You can. There's so much content out there, but you have to practice it. Personally, Rucha and I myself are always peeping into other certification programs. I know that we're both into so many, and we're like, oh, that's good. It's interesting. How do we, look at this? How do we apply it? And then we even give our feedback to those programs, right? So it's a continuous learning journey for everybody out there. But more to add to that, Rucha?
Yeah, I think it just validates your understanding as well. You become a lifelong learner. You learn new things. If something new pops up, it's always nice to do that. My only suggestion would be, if you are looking for any program, any certification, any training, please, please, please ensure that it is very, very practical, because facilitation is one thing where you will get skilled at it when you do it, not learn it or just read about it and sit in a corner. It has to be something which is very, very highly application focused, literally like learning by doing kind of a program. If that exists, then that's the one for you.
Yeah, and that's exactly what we are also saying in this book. So remember, you have to not just sit with learning. So if you read this book, you want to apply it, grab it in your context, apply everything, not just this book, but it's this, by the way, this book is not very theory. This is literally, you pick up a technique and you go apply, right? And it's step by step. You can definitely learn from it. Okay, now I'm marketing it. So, okay, let's go away from that. So facilitation is really going to enable you to uncover more in the conversation, move the conversation forward, and build your confidence nugget by nugget, really small. And it's not about displaying credentials, yeah? So you can later, but if that's stopping you, don't stop yourself, unlock your potential, because you can facilitate. This was unplanned. I just grabbed it.
But that's apt. That's apt as a closing note. All of us can facilitate.
Yes, anybody can. So you can facilitate. And we'll see you next Tuesday with another myth. And we're not going to tell you what that is. You'll see it on our channel and or on our LinkedIn post. So until next Tuesday, bye.
Thank you. Bye.